how do you teach Canadian history in a way that is engaging and not boring for students? When I was in school, to be honest, my teacher didn't always show me how great history could be. So we came up with this idea of quantum trailblazers.
On air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When we look at an engaging learning adventure, we're actually trying to change everything. It started with this idea of the kids going back in time. They're actually visiting all these specific time periods in Canadian history and analyzing these different time periods while they're there. And so we created this person named Dr. Hourclock.
The character that they introduced to us was Dr. Hourclock, and he was the scientist who came to the school to introduce time travel to us. We were sent in groups of 9 all over Canadian history.
We had 6 groups of 9 students, and we gave them each a specific time period, and they had to learn everything about that time period, and then they had to teach that to the other students, and that was their main task. The first thing we did, we said, okay, let's make them choose a role. They decided who they wanted to represent.
So for our roles, we kind of got to choose. So my job as a journalist is to show both sides of the whole story. My newspaper article was called Louis Riel, Traitor or Hero.
Their first task was to do some research. And the capacity map actually helped them a lot because that was their tool to say, okay, this is what I have to learn and this is what I'm learning. So it was amazing to watch. They were just using the textbook, using the internet, and they used everything they could.
You figure out what you research and you own what you research, which deepens our learning, knowing that you yourself found the information rather than just having a teacher talk to you, which is a lot of ownership.
We had to be the experts on this because we were teaching the rest of the class on our time period. And it's kind of cool, like if you think, I'm an expert from 1869 to 1908. I know everything about that.
And we thought, well, these kids need to showcase what they're learning. Somehow, we thought, why don't they just do a newscast? We made up a set for them, and they had to tell us about their story, about their time period through this newscast.
We were so surprised. There was a big, nice desk, and there was cameras, teleprompters, microphones, backlights everywhere. It was quite interesting. It was like almost like a show business.
It was really cool because it felt like we were in a real news studio. And then we were doing the acting. We had written our own scripts. And then also we were the ones who edited the newscast. So it was cool because it was us doing it. It wasn't the teachers, it was us.
I mean, they were so excited. They were able to use a green screen to make a weather report, traffic, commercials. They put pictures behind their green screen. They were editing their videos. There were days like we see the kids come in with these hats, with these fur, everything. They were just ready to go.
In 1755, the British asked the Acadians to make an oath with them.
Once they finished their newscast, their last part was to take all the information, their roles, their newscasts, everything, put it together, and create a lesson for a classroom. If you're able to teach a class, that's how we know that you've learned your material. So we had the groups come up, they each had a specific time that they would teach the classroom what they learned.
We got to teach the whole class about our time period. We were given these sheets with points of how long we had to spend talking about certain topics of the time period, and we'd cover as much information as we could. So there was lots of kids, and it was kind of a bustly environment.
We as teachers would come in and would literally go through the lesson that they just taught, but we just fill in the gaps, things maybe that they didn't spend enough time on, or we noticed that maybe the kids didn't quite understand. The difference between a learning adventure and the traditional way is that in a few years, when you ask the kids, how was your grade 7? It's the stories that they tell you. This is what we did, this is how we learned. And it will always stick with them because it was not just something that they had to sit there and read, but it became who they were.
I enjoy doing the learning adventure as opposed to just sitting down and reading from the textbook. It gets students engaged and we want to come to school because we kind of feel like we're actually in that part of Canadian history.
Instead of reading about Canadian history in a textbook, we were able to engage the students in a learning adventure that brought the textbooks to life.